Have you ever felt like, you know, somebody, just, like say you're a guy and you're typically a friendly guy, or, you're, or you say hi to females, and maybe you're just being friendly, and have you ever, kind of felt like, well, geez, lady, um, I'm just being friendly. There's other people that are able to be friendly. You know, why treat me any different, right? And what I'm getting at, and is it seems like I'm starting to notice this a little more often. Um, where because I don't know. I think I've shared a couple stories um, of my past of writing a letter to a female to kind of help me express my feeling, how I feel, how I kind of you know attracted, and kind of like wanting to just get to know them. And then, all of a sudden they um, start telling people that I'm hitting on them. Um, I've ran into that's just one story. Um, there's been, you know, others that, you know, I remember, just simply asking the question, how are you doing? Just trying to start a conversation, a simple conversation. How are you doing? I mean, that's a pretty harmless conversation, but I've had females, like act like I was like, oh boy, he's about to, do something or whatever, just treat me just out of very disrespectful, first off. And here's why, because I was thinking about this earlier and I did not want to come on here and talk about it. Um, because, like, well, I know I've talked about it before, but I don't want to make a huge deal about it. Because, well, for number one, I have, forgiven, right, these people. They don't really know that I've forgiven them, but I have forgiven them in my heart, for myself. Um, so that way I can live and not be afraid that this is always going to happen. Um, but yeah, I have had, it seems like I run into females all the time that just seem like they um treat me like I'm some kind of monster or something just because I like say hi or whatever, or just because I'm looking their way. Well, it's like, whoa, wait a minute. How many guys look your way all the time and there's nothing wrong with it, and now all of a sudden I'm looking your way and there's a problem? Or how many guys have been friendly and just said, "Hi, how are you doing?" before me, and now that I ask you, "How are you doing?" just to try to start a conversation, you think that there's something weird with that? No, wake up, you hypocrite dummy. One, you're a hypocrite, and two, you're a dummy. Yeah, I'm calling you a dummy because that's really what you are. You think that you can just get by with, you know, being okay with other men, having conversations, and then the moment that I try to have a conversation, you treat me different? No, that you're a hypocrite. But then you're also a dummy because I'm not I'm not gonna harm you. Like you think that I'm some kind of guy that's going to, like, I'm the nicest, sweetest guy, you know. And this is makes me wonder, one, is there something wrong in their mind? Two, you know, why is it that, a guy that treats people that basically you can tell they're kind of like trash, or treats them, bad or whatever, they're the ones that they're attracted to. And then so whenever a nice gentleman comes up and just says, "Hey, how are you doing?" they disrespect, that guy because they feel like, you know, see how it's backwards. There's something wrong there, and here's what I'm saying is maybe there's a lot of females that need therapy. I mean, there's a reason why there is therapy. Maybe you need some therapy, like it, because I'm a pretty sweet gentleman. I know how to treat a lady. I'm not some kind of person that's just gonna snatch somebody. Like, I do not have a record. Okay, my record is clean. Like, I I have a clean record. I go to church. I worship the Lord. I praise Him. I talk to the Lord every day. Okay, and you're gonna be afraid, like you're afraid of me? I mean, it's either there's something going on there, or there's something inside, like maybe a demon that's afraid. Like, I mean, obviously. Eh, and that's where I'm gonna really laugh because, you know, maybe there's actually a demon there that's actually afraid. Maybe it's not you know, maybe they don't want to be afraid, um, but maybe there's a demon there that is afraid. And hey, if there is, you know, that's actually. But other than that, though, it it's really, you know, it's really tiring at times. You know, there's also been times where I'm just simply on a walk and, say, theoretically speaking, and this has happened to me before, so even though I say theoretically speaking, there would be a female like in front, walking. And, obviously I would be walking, faster than they are. Um, and where I can kind of see them looking behind them, to see if I'm, catching up, and whatnot. And then right before they take a sharp turn and go up a hill, you know, looking right back at me, and I can hear them say, is he, whisper, is he following me? It's like, this is a walkway, like it's a river walk, by the way. I mean, there's where I live, they have river walks where they, it's like a path by the river, so that you're walking kind of by the river, and you can kind of look out at the river as you're walking. And how many, so I wonder how many other people, just people, uh have been walking behind them, and they don't get, kind of afraid, like, and looking back, it you hypocrite and dummy. You hypocrite and dummy. um like, it's not like we're I mean, it's a pretty common area is what I'm talking about. And it's like, so there's times when I park my car in a certain parking lot, and get on here because I either have to get out for a while, or I'm kind of led to do a message in my car versus doing a message here in my apartment sometimes. So sometimes I'll do that. And people walk by my car all the time. Does not bother me. Because it's near a um, walking path, or, it's kind of near the water walk, um, where I park my car. Um, and so I'll be in my car, in my vehicle, sometimes doing, messages or whatever, and lots of people, walk by, drive by. I've even had somebody, and I don't know if, I mean, obviously you don't know this, but because it was in front of the camera, but I literally, there was, and it was maybe, it was, I don't know how many months back, but I do remember making a video in my vehicle, and this car rolls by and like almost hits my car and driving by, and I notice it, but guess what? I'm unfazed by it. It doesn't bother. Like, I know that they're not going to hit my car. I know, like, you know where I'm going with this? Where I'm going with it is like, I'm unfazed. Like, I'm not scared of a vehicle rolling by, close enough to, if they weren't paying attention, they would have hit my car. Like, I still continued to make the video. Um, and yet there is, so what I'm doing is I'm showing you the difference between, you know, between the two. It's like, um, I know that that area, what I'm saying is I know that that area is there's heavy traffic during nice days. There's heavy traffic there because there. So why should I be afraid of people walking? And matter of fact, there's not just vehicles that get really close to my car sometimes, but there's people that will walk very, very close to my vehicle. But guess what? I know that they're just there to, which, I mean, they don't have to walk nearly as close. I understand that, but why, it's like, why would I waste my, it's almost like they're trying to create distractions or something. But because I know they can walk around, they can walk a little bit further away, but none of that phases me. None of that phases me. That's what I'm saying. So um it's interesting that a guy can be walking behind a woman, and if that woman doesn't or have any interest, she can all of a sudden get it inside her mind that that guy is following her or stalking her or whatever, when that's really not true. And see the difference. Do you see the difference between me not being phased by, people even walking so close that they could have reached out and pulled on the door and opened it? Like, I've had people walk that close to my vehicle before. Um, but it doesn't phase me. And that's what I'm getting at is, how am I not phased by that? But there are females that are phased, that are flipping out because they think that I am following them, it's crazy. It's crazy. That's why I'm this message is important. I mean, if you think about it, it's actually important. I didn't want to, at the beginning or before I got on, I was like kind of delaying, you know, but I knew that the Holy Spirit was wanting me to um, get on and talk about it. Um, but I didn't really want to. I was kind of pushing it um, back. Um, but until I just couldn't, you know, I couldn't anymore. I just kind of had to get on and talk about it because really this needs to be stopped. And what I'm saying is maybe these females need to go to counseling or something like that because it's really sad that just because um it it's like it's only because it's only stalking. And what's the definition of stalking? I mean, I didn't look it up, but one think about it for a second. What is the definition of stalking? And how it's interesting how we've kind of changed the definition to, well, if the person behind me, I don't, if I don't like them, I can come up with a scenario in my mind that they're following me. And you see how it's like, well, okay, going back to the story that I was telling you about the female in front of me, how she thought that like, even though this is a common area where people use all the time to walk, and probably other people have walked behind her before. And I'm guessing probably other men walked behind her before. And she's obviously, I can tell she's thinking that I'm going to do something. It's like, well, wait a minute, because I know I'm not stupid. I know that if that woman found me attractive, she probably would not have gotten scared. So what I'm saying is, it seems like we've, changed the definition of stalking. Now, yes, there are people that stalk, and that needs to be stopped, but it seems like we've also changed the definition of stalking to say, well, if I'm not interested in you, you're somebody that is stalking me. See how it seems like stalking has become a thing where it's like, well, if I have interest in you, you're not stalking me. But if I'm don't have any interest in you, you're stalking me, you're creeping me out. That's not No, you cannot have it both ways. You cannot have it both ways. That doesn't work like that. And so it's kind of interesting how often you might be, I don't know, just anywhere, a sports bar, a restaurant, whatever, and a guy can approach a female, and let's say they don't have interest in that guy. Um, and so they say, leave me alone. Like they just don't want to talk to that guy because they don't have any interest. And okay, maybe that guy does is interested in the lady, and that's probably why, they're, approaching. But and I will say that, yeah, there are some guys out there that don't know, when to like let go and things like that. And um however, I'm just simply talking about a guy approaching a woman just to have a conversation, not be. I'm not even talking about a guy that would be pretending to have a conversation just to, you know, I'm talking about somebody that's just, friendly. And because, yeah, there are those that, just act like they want to have a conversation when really they want more than that. But then there's those that I'm talking about right now that just want to have a conversation. Um, how females, it seems like if they're not interested, they don't even want the guy to talk to them. But it's interesting, as soon as a guy in a sports bar, restaurant, or even out, um, just walking, approaches, and they like that guy, they're interested in that, then, oh, how it's okay then for them to have a friendly conversation. Again, very hypocritical, because we're not talking about the men who might pretend like that's all they want is a conversation. We're not talking about them. We're talking about somebody that's just friendly, right? Again, that's hypocritical. And what I'm saying is that kind of needs to be stopped. Like, we go get therapy. If you're a female that has, and I will tell you one other thing that has, well, that's not the last thing, but that's the last thing I'm going to share, is I've even had, like, so one, go get therapy, you know, um, go get help, because I've even had females, you know, they will sit down and then like it just it just happens that I would sit down, you know, either at the same table or just simply across, and they would go, like they would start acting like that was. And what's weird, and I've also had this happen, where there's already three guys. So this was a time when went out for to lunch. There was a place that I volunteered at, and we went out for lunch. And there was a lady that went with us, a female that went with us. Everybody, ordered, and they were, so like four or five people had ordered and had, sat down at a table. There was a guy here, female, another guy, and another guy on the other side of the table. So there was already three men, basically surrounding this um, female, talking to her, and well, this female was part of the group, but so and then I come along, and there's one seat, there's one seat left at that table. So I just simply sat down at that table across from this female, and she's like looking at me like I can't sit there. Like, what? I mean, you're already talking and there might have even been four guys, because like I said, there was only one spot there, so there might have even been four, and but the she was the only female sitting, like she was sitting right in the middle of three to four guys. Fine, nothing, nothing wrong, nothing was, upsetting. As soon as I sat down in that one spot that was open, she felt uncomfortable. So, how is it that three, four guys sitting, already sitting, surrounding this female? It's no problem. And she doesn't even know who I am. She hardly knows me. She's just somebody that was, there for the summer. So, like, or was a pretty regular volunteer. And she was just someone there for that summer. So, she has no idea who I am. No, like, and So that's, you know how stupid that is for me to get treated that way? Yeah, that's pretty stupid. That's pretty hypocritical and stupid. So, yes, again, I don't want to make it sound like I hadn't, forgiven this person, because I have forgiven this person, but I also, it needs to be talked about, because that kind of thing needs to stop. It needs to stop. Like, that kind of thing that females are doing needs to come to an end. And I would say to that female, you need to get therapy. She needs to get therapy. And I don't know if I should tell this story, but I think I am going to anyways. Um, there was a time, well, and I wasn't a part of this story. I was just in the room while somebody was telling this story. And so that's how I know that she's even more hypocritical, because like, they told a story about years ago, about like a couple years ago, a couple years back or something. Um, they went to this lake, and the ladies decided to, that we're all swimming together. Apparently, they took their tops off, and um, the leader of this place that I was volunteering at was coming. So one of the guys took their tops and handed it to them. And none of them, the point of what I'm getting at is, none of them felt uncomfortable with the guys looking at them. And here, years later, you have this same female who's comfortable with them looking at her this. And then there's me that just sits down and she's uncomfortable. You know how hypocritical that is? Very hypocritical. And so maybe I was in the wrong to tell that story, but I just wanted to tell you that story to say how hypocritical women can be. That's the only reason why I told that story. Maybe I shouldn't have told that story, but because it's not really mine to tell. It's not like I wasn't there at the time. I was just there eating lunch while somebody that was there told that story. But so maybe I'm a little out of line, but my point is, well, one, I can be forgiven. Because my point is, it's like, if a woman can sit there, be completely topless, and be okay with the guys there, being able to see their, what, their chest. And then years, like, that's hypocrite. Like, that's what I'm going with this is there's plenty. And so, yeah, they would all need therapy. And that's what I'm going with it is it's obvious that there are women out there that are completely okay with showing their baggage, but then the moment that they somebody is attracted to them that they're not attracted to, that person is a freak or some kind of monster, or now all of a sudden they're uncomfortable. So, I mean, there's obviously, am I a little out of line? Possibly. I will admit I probably got a little bit out of line telling that story, but there's a reason for it. So, you know, forgive me. It's simple as that. Forgive me. Find forgiveness. Right? Like, I told that story for a reason. I told you that reason. And that reason is for you guys to see, the viewers to see how hypocritical females can be, and maybe they need therapy because I mean, it needs to stop. All of it needs to come to an end and need to stop being disrespectful to men just because you don't find that they're interesting or that you don't find them attractive. So, final word, go get therapy to help you with this.